scientists tracked down a few steady mechanical synthetics in fetal organs. Scientists at Karolinska Institutet in Sweden discovered mechanical synthetics in the organs of embryos imagined a long time after numerous nations had restricted the substances. In an examination distributed in the diary Chemosphere, the analysts encourage chiefs to consider the joint effect of the blend of synthetic substances that gather in individuals and nature. These are significant discoveries that call for controllers to consider the aggregate effect of openness to numerous synthetic substances as opposed to assessing only each compound in turn. Rochelle Duque Bjorvang, first creator, PhD understudy at the Department of Clinical Science, Intervention and Technology at Karolinska Institute. The analysts examined groupings of 22 determined natural toxins, POPs. These are harmful synthetic substances that stay in the climate for extensive stretches of time and amass in people through food, drinking water and air particles. EU's individuals and numerous different nations have marked a settlement that denies or confines assembling and utilization of these synthetic substances. In the investigation, the scientists analyzed examples of fetal fat tissue, liver, heart, lung and cerebrum from 20 pregnancies that for different reasons had finished in stillbirth in the third trimester in 2015-2016. The scientists recognized in any event 15 of the 22 POPs in each organ. 4 synthetic substances were found in all tissues in all embryos. The most unavoidable synthetic compounds were HCB, a pesticide recently used to shield food crops from parasites. DDE, a metabolite of DDT, a bug executioner utilized during the 1900s. Variations of PCBs, synthetic compounds earlier utilized in a scope of electrical items. Most current strategies for assessing fetal openness to synthetics depend on maternal blood and placenta tests as intermediaries. The new examination found that, for a portion of the synthetics, the focuses in the fetal tissues surpassed those found in the maternal blood and placenta. This can be clarified by the way that these synthetics will in general aggregate in fat tissue because of their construction. Nonetheless, levels in fetal liver and lung likewise surpassed those found in the mother. A few pesticides, PECB, alpha-HCH, gamma-HCH and oxychlordane, were recognized in fetal tissue in any event, when they were not evaluated in maternal blood tests or the placenta. As per the specialists, these most recent discoveries recommend that blood and placenta tests may give a deceptive picture on the variety and grouping of synthetics that infants are presented to during early turn of events. This examination just explored the presence and convergence of the different synthetic substances yet not their connections to potential well-being hazards. In any case, the scientists bring up that few past examinations have connected early life openness to POPs to unfriendly well-being results. For example, low birth weight, gestational diabetes, ADHD, barrenness, corpulence and diminished sperm creation. For instance, the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, has of late amended their danger appraisal of dioxins and dioxin-like PCBs, and reasoned that the dietary admission in Europe is as of now at a level that can upset ripeness in men. Researchers propose new techniques to discover drugs that kill basic chemicals. Novel host viral microbiome collaborations during COVID-19 may decide result. Off-axis parabolic mirrors assist accurate 3D flight tracking. Getting a precise image of compound openness in early human advancement is basic to evaluating both short and long-haul well-being ramifications for people in the future, says last creator Paulina Damdimopoulou, analyst in the Department of Clinical Science, Intervention and Technology at Karolinska Institutet. In this manner, we accept the present methodologies assessing fetal synthetic openness, for instance in birth partner contemplates, should be refreshed to more readily mirror the probability that for certain synthetic compounds, fetal openness is really more noteworthy than what the blood and placenta tests show. 13 of the pregnancies additionally had information from a previous investigation on PFAs, synthetic substances utilized in searing container, food bundling and firefighting froth. By joining these information, the specialists had the option to evaluate the extent of synthetic substances in each sort of tissue. While pesticides and PCBs were essentially overrepresented in fat tissue, the greater part of the synthetic substances in the fetal lung, cerebrum, liver and heart was because of PFAs. By and large, the most noteworthy convergence of a blend of synthetic compounds were found in fat tissue and the least in the mind. The examination tracked down that the overall openness of child young men was higher contrasted with child young ladies. Studies directed during the 1960s and 1970s, when POPs were generally being used, discovered more significant levels contrasted with our own, Rochelle Dookie-Bjorvang says. This shows that political activity prompting limitations in the utilization of synthetics affects populace openings, albeit on account of persevering synthetic substances it will take numerous ages to dispose of the openness. The specialists perceive that the investigation has a few constraints, including a moderately unassuming example size and that it just included embryos who had passed on in the belly late in the pregnancy. Subsequently, it may not be completely illustrative of children conceived alive. The tissue tests were gathered from the Stockholm Medical Biobank. The specialists have gotten subsidizing from the Swedish Research Council for Sustainable Development, Formas, Jane and Otto's Urco Foundation, and Women's Department in Sundsvall Development Fund. Realities on POPs. Diligent natural contaminations. POPs are harmful human-made synthetic compounds that once delivered into the climate stay flawless for especially extensive stretches of times and become generally conveyed through air, soil and water. As of now, there are 30 POPs recorded under the purported Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, a worldwide ecological settlement started by the United Nations to kill or limit the creation and utilization of POPs. In excess of 150 nations have sanctioned the arrangement. The rundown incorporates pesticides, mechanical synthetic compounds and results, a large number of which were for some time prohibited by nations all throughout the planet however keep on influencing the climate and creature and human well-being.